Good evening and welcome to Biz Roundup. I'm Tamiru Nimsat and we at Tar Television bring you a collection of business highlights. Let's look at the headlines. Inflation to remain under target till next year, Central Bank predicts. Sri Lanka's export income exceeds $9 billion, Subject Minister announces. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena woos foreign investors at the Temple Trees. News in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that the government is planning to establish 4 technology universities in the country as an effort to enhance the human resources in the country. President Wickremesinghe also said that the government will take steps to further enhance technology courses in the existing universities as an immediate measure to achieve this objective. The President said this speaking at a press conference held in Colombo recently.
From 2.5 million tourists to 5 million, and from $150 a night to $400. Just imagine how it will increase. New hotels, new activities that will come out of tourism. These two alone will absorb a fair amount of the unemployed. And we are an aging society. Nothing to stop aged people from either doing agriculture or being part of the tourist system. We have to look at work that we can do. So these are 2 new areas that we are looking at. Developing our logistics, more than that, going for manufacture, not the low end. Go for the more technology intensive ones, train them, go ahead. Some will say automation, semi-automation, we won't have jobs. I would say, first get your foreign exchange. You can always find the jobs. Automation will not be a problem for us. Because at our wage rates, we cannot compete with the low wage economies. So this is the way. As you keep training more and more people, there will be more and more automated industries coming to the country. We are looking at the whole field of technology, digitalization. I've been talking with SLASCOM at the Indian NASCOM. How do we go ahead? This is something we are used to. Use the other technologies like AI. We are now planning to have 4 more universities of technology. While we increase the technological courses, we'd look at 4 more universities coming in technology.
Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe said that according to the data available at the moment, the Central Bank has predicted the inflation rates to be well below the target of 5%. He said that the Central Bank monetary policy stance continues to accommodative, aligning with softened inflationary pressures at an event held in Colombo yesterday.
The Central Bank's monetary policy stance continues to be accommodative, aligning with softened inflationary pressures. As per the current projections, based on available information at present, the inflation is expected to be well below the target of 5% until first quarter of 2025, before stabilizing around the targeted level later in 2025. Though it is technically inflation target missed on the lower bound, which is 3%, the economy could benefit from this extended period of low inflation as it is coming out of the deepest crisis after recording historic level of inflation. Enactment of Central Bank of Sri Lanka Act in September 2023 was a milestone achievement enabling the formal recognition of flexible inflation targeting as the Central Bank's monetary policy framework, complemented by flexible exchange rate policy. Additionally, increasing autonomy of the Central Bank has been accompanied by enhancing accountability towards the Parliament and the general public for the Central Bank's policy actions. The independence of the Central Bank has been reinforced by limiting monetary financing and ensuring independent decision making without the influence from the fiscal authorities, thereby strengthening both monetary policy formulation and governance and accountability.
Speaking at the event, Governor Nandalal Veerasinghe also said that the country's external sector has stabilized further with the increase of reserves, while the service sector inflows act as a buffer against external shocks. The Central Bank Governor further revealed that the annual external current account has seen surpluses for 2 years in a row in the last 2 years, marking the first time in history this has happened.
Improvements on the external front, primarily driven by workers' remittances and tourism inflows and also exports, have resulted in a relatively stable exchange rate and enabled the central bank to rebuild those official reserves. Moving forward, the expected inflows from the service sector are expected to sustain this positive momentum in the external sector and provide a buffer against external shocks. The government's steadfast commitment to a revenue-based fiscal consolidation path, in conjunction with the continued execution of the economic reform program, aligned and committed with the IMF arrangement, is expected to continue. Since most of the tax policy reforms are front-loaded in the reform process, the revenue enhancement in the forthcoming period would be more focused on improving tax administration and widening the tax net rather than increasing taxes.
State Minister for Investment Promotion Dilum Amanugama announced that Sri Lanka has achieved a significant export income of $9 billion in the first 6 months of 2024. Additionally, investment agreements amounting to approximately $800 million have been signed during this period. This announcement was made during a press briefing held at the Presidential Media Centre last week.
State Minister Amanugama noted that the Board of Investment of Sri Lanka currently oversees 15 investment zones which house over 1,500 companies and employ over 500,000 people. The government's new investment program includes plans to establish 7 more investment zones in key areas such as Mankulam, Paranthan, Kankasanture, Trincomalee, Iranavilla, Hambantota and Bingiriya. The minister said that negotiations have been finalized for 35 projects with agreements now in place. The Kankasanture investment zone is said to be developed as a joint Canadian-Sri Lankan initiative. Regarding the Colombo port city, 46 out of 118 land plots have been allocated to a Chinese contracting company, with 6 plots subsequently returned to Sri Lankan companies.
Stay tuned. We will return after this short commercial break. Welcome back after the break. A prominent entrepreneur from the People's Republic of South Korea, Tong Jo-moon, met with Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena at Temple Trees in Colombo recently. During the meeting, Moon expressed his interest in investing in Sri Lanka's energy and agriculture sectors, according to the press statement released by the Prime Minister's office. According to the Prime Minister's media office, Moon, who is the president of the International Intelligence Development Association, discussed plans for his organization to invest in several solar energy projects. Additionally, he expressed interest in cultivating foods in Sri Lanka for export to Korea and other international markets. Prime Minister Gunawardena welcomed these investment proposals, emphasizing the Sri Lankan government's intention to increase the use of alternative energy sources in order to reduce reliance on crude oil. The discussion also covered potential investments in the fisheries, health and construction sectors, with a particular focus on introducing new technologies to enhance productivity in these areas. Minister of Foreign Affairs Ali Sabri convened a crucial briefing at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for the Colombo-based diplomatic corps, focusing on recent developments in Sri Lanka last Friday. During this session, Minister Sabri reiterated the progress made in economic recovery, legal reforms and the strengthening of domestic institutions geared towards reconciliation over the past year.
Minister Sabri highlighted the government's dedicated efforts in establishing a Commission for Truth, Unity and Reconciliation, which included the gazetting and tabling of the draft bill in Parliament. As the Minister of Justice, he also addressed the ongoing progress in drafting comprehensive counter-terrorism legislation intended to replace the Prevention of Terrorism Act. He also provided updates on reconciliation efforts under the Ministry of Justice, including advancements made by key institutions such as the Office on Missing Persons, the Office on Reparations and the Office on National Unity and Reconciliation. Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, provided an overview of the country's economic revival and outlined the path forward for continued stabilization. Additional Director General of the Department of National Planning, J.M.S.D. Ratnayake, discussed the social safety measures implemented, including the newly launched social protection policy aimed at supporting vulnerable groups. Foreign Secretary Aruni Vijayewardena urged the Colombo-based diplomatic community to recognize and support Sri Lanka's ongoing progress.
Power and Energy Minister Kanchana Wijesekara announced that the Ceylon Electricity Board recorded a net profit of 93 billion rupees by June 2024. This profit has been utilized to settle various outstanding payments related to power projects, including debt owed to renewable energy developers, thermal power plants, coal procurement, local supplies, rooftop solar projects and short-term banking facilities. In a post on X, Minister Vijay Sekhar explained that after these settlements, the electricity tariffs for users were revised and reduced, reflecting the remaining profits.
The announcement followed reports indicating that the CEB posted a net profit after taxes for the April-June quarter of 2024 with over 34 billion rupees paid in taxes. The CEB had also reported a net profit of over 84 billion rupees after taxes for the January to March quarter, resulting in a total profit of over 119 billion rupees in the first half of the year. In response to criticism regarding the use of profits to pay off debts, Minister Vijay Sekhar questioned alternative suggestions, emphasizing that settling these debts was necessary. He challenged the idea of using additional loans, taxes, printing money or selling assets to cover the payments and highlighted the importance of timely payments to renewable energy developers, independent power producers, suppliers and banks.
Stay tuned. We will return after this short commercial break. Welcome back after the break. The Cabinet of Ministers has approved awarding the contract for the rehabilitation and improvement of access routes to the Cantor Multimodal Transport Terminal Development Project to Maga Engineering Limited. Cabinet co-spokesperson and Minister Bandula Gunawardena said this, speaking at the post-cabinet meeting media briefing last week. The KMTTDP is a significant part of the broader Kandy City Development Initiative known as Visal Mahanora, which is funded by the World Bank through a loan of 30 billion rupees. Minister Bandula Gunawardena emphasized the importance of upgrading the access routes to the new transport terminal to ensure its effective operation. Gunawardena explains that the project received 10 bids through a local competitive bidding procedure. After a detailed evaluation by the Standing Procurement Committee, Maga Engineering was chosen as the most responsive and lowest bidder. The Cabinet subsequently approved the proposal based on the committee's recommendations. Commissioner General of the Excise Department M.J. Gunasiri clarified that reports suggesting significant tax areas in the Inland Revenue Department, Sri Lanka Customs and the Excise Department are exaggerated. Speaking at a press briefing held at the Presidential Media Centre, he stated that the total outstanding tax amount for these institutions is 90 billion rupees, which is the normal range for any country. Commissioner General Gunasiri emphasized that these three institutions achieved record revenue in 2023, surpassing 3 trillion rupees and managed to create a primary account surplus for the first time in 25 years. He further detailed that the Excise Department alone generated over 179 billion in 2023 and is targeting 232 billion rupees for 2024. He added that by August, the department had already earned over 130 billion rupees, reflecting a 24.6% growth compared to the previous year. Deputy Commissioner General of Inland Revenue Department B.K.S. Shantha added that the Inland Revenue Department has set a revenue target of over 2,000 billion rupees for 2024. Finance Officer of Sri Lanka Customs Anura Muthukude shared that the department is expected to generate over 1,500 billion rupees in revenue for 2024, with over 950 billion rupees collected by August. Sri Lanka's merchandise export earnings surpassed the $1 billion mark in July, pushing the total export value for the first 7 months of the year to over $9 billion. In July alone, merchandise export earnings rose by 6.58% year-on-year, also marked a 5.5% increase compared to June 2024, according to provisional data released by the Export Development Board. The growth in earnings was driven by strong performances in key sectors, including apparel and textiles, tea, coconut-based products, spices and concentrates, and seafood. In addition to merchandise exports, the estimated value of services exports for July 2024 stood over $293 million, representing a 16.44% increase compared to the same period in 2023. Total exports for June 2024, encompassing both merchandise and services, reached $1.9 billion, showing a 9.52% growth over the corresponding period in 2023. During the first 7 months of 2024, merchandise exports rose by 4.94% year-on-year to over $7.2 billion, while estimated service sector earnings increased by over 12% to $1.6 billion. With that, we wind up for today. For this and more, subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. See you tomorrow with State of Business at 7:45 p.m. Take care and good night.